Welcome to the 4D Combatives Firearms and Defense Network in Tampa, Florida, with hosts Lane Andrews and Nick DiMatteo. On this podcast, we discuss firearms-related topics, including legal, tactical, concealed carry, as well as weapon and product reviews. We also discuss self-defense training as it relates to concealed carry. Our first sponsor is South Tampa Jiu-Jitsu and MMA. Learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts in a family-friendly environment from some of Tampa's best martial artists. Check them out at SouthTampaJiu-Jitsu.com. Our next sponsor is Nopiate Topical Pain Ointment, the toughest topical pain reliever for the combat athlete. Get back on the grind with Nopiate Pain Relief, found only at www.nopiate.com. That's NOPIATE.com. Next episode, starting now.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Nick. I'm finally back after a small hiatus, I guess. This week we'll be talking about gun politics. Haha. Right? We'll be talking about some legislation coming up. Lane wants to talk about some sweet firearms that just came out. I think SHOT Show, a few of the things came out. I remember we were talking about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we also talk about this old St Pete rum that we're sipping on right now. It's delicious. Yeah. Great straight. Don't spoil it with the mixer.
Absolutely. I'll second that for sure.
It's good stuff.
Very smooth. Very smooth.
All right, Nick. You want to get us started?
Sure,
You're the politics guy.
I guess I am the politics guy at this point right now. So I want to say anybody who's listening to this right now, I know it's not zillions of people, but think about getting a hold of your legislators, your federal legislators. This point in time, with the way Congress is controlled, this is kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and everybody who's pro-gun, pro-2A, pro, individual self-defense, liberty, they should be, writing your senators, writing your legislators, writing your House representatives, and letting them know that you want them to support 2A stuff, and that there is going to be legislation coming out, national reciprocity, suppressor legislation, and our legislators need to know that we want them to vote yes on these things coming up, and we may never get this chance again. 2 years from now, the whole entire makeup of Congress could be completely changed, and I think it's so important for us to write our legislators. And I've already actually taken the step to write. I wrote Bill Nelson, who is a senator from Florida, and I did write Marco Rubio. I know Marco Rubio is behind a lot of legislation. He's a co-sponsor of a few things. I wrote Bill Nelson, who's a Democrat, and he gave me a real generic response. Something that really irked me, though, a little bit is the first thing he said is, I support an assault weapons ban, I support 10-round magazine capacity, and I support background checks, and I will continue to support them no matter what he said and what he wrote back to me. A generic letter, probably by one of his little henchmen, I guess, whatever you want to call them. But, so immediately, he's up for re-election against possibly Rick Scott in Florida, a governor of Florida, in 2018. We got to get this guy out of there. That's one less vote that we have to, further our gun rights that were kind of taken away from us a long time ago, and, behind closed doors, nobody really noticed kind of thing, and now's the time to get them back. This, once-in-a-lifetime chance. So I say if you're listening to this, get out there, find out who your local representative is, your senators, 2 senators, write them, send them, let them know that you want them to vote, especially if you're in Florida, absolutely, and especially if you're senator or congressman, which they will be up for re-election in 2018. So put the pressure on them. I know the NRA is doing all that stuff, but it's like shit or get off the pot kind of thing now. And if you're not making moves now, when we have the opportunity to get more gun rights legislation through Congress, then are you really that pro-gun?
Right. Yeah. And no need to complain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when we're not in power. I say we're not. I'm very much a moderate. If you listen to all my political views, but I wouldn't have this podcast if I wasn't pro Second Amendment. So, good stuff, man.
Yeah,
good message.
I'll get off my
No,
soapbox.
you're good.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the soapbox. It's fine.
But so as for guns and stuff, I definitely want to hear what you know or what you've seen, or maybe I can kind of enlighten me in some stuff that's coming out. So maybe what were we talking about beforehand?
The Hudson H9,
yes,
which is kind of an exciting pistol.
That's awesome.
I try not to jump in and buy a new pistol, right away. I want to make sure that it has some, that it has a little time and some of the kinks are worked out. But this was an exciting product. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a double stack, all steel, 9mm striker fired pistol, and wait for it, a 1911.
Hey, the 1911.
So it means all that with the sweet trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like probably such like minimum recoil, which is kind of exciting, kind of cool. I'm sure it's heavy, but it's really, I don't know. It just sounds really interesting.
Sure.
Really unique weapon. It does not come with a safety selector. There's an optional add-on safety selector.
So it's Glock-like almost.
Yeah, so it's like a Glock 1911,
That's
and then if
cool.
you're more of a 1911 guy and you're used to engaging that safety before you shoot, then you can add the safety. So there's a lot of other cool things about that gun. If you haven't got a chance to research it, check it out. And the MSRP is one of the best things about it. It's like $1147.
Ooh, that's not bad.
Yeah,
especially double stack, 9mm, striker fired, 1911. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's
it's like
really
buying a Glock and a 1911 all in one,
right?
All in one deal. So, anyway, that seems like a cool product coming out. I think one of the other pistols this year that's got me kind of excited is the CZ.
CZ makes great stuff.
CZ makes wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they, of course, they have a lot of hammer-fired weapons that, a lot of military and police use throughout the world. CZ75 is like one of the, one of the best guns made. It's a great weapon. However, and they're typically, all steel. This one is a polymer, definitely designed to compete with the Glock. And I'm a Glock guy, but I'm always looking for something next level, something better. And this one seems pretty cool. It's striker fired, polymer, similar to the Glock. Probably, it looks like I have not shot one yet, but from the reviews I've read, it seems like the trigger is like really smooth.
Better than a Glock?
Yeah.
I mean, not that Glock triggers, in my opinion, aren't great, so I want to say
a lot of people don't like the Glock trigger.
Yeah.
But trigger aside, if you own a Glock and your reservation is you don't want to buy a new holster, you don't want to buy, a bunch of new stuff. One of the cool things about this gun is that the holster actually fits your Glock.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't know that.
The weapon fits in your Glock holster. Yeah,
that's really, really cool.
Yeah, so it's cool.
You've got to change out everything. So.
Yeah, you would say, okay, it's a CZ, so it's quality.
Absolutely.
I haven't ran out to buy one or anything. I'll give it a little time, but it seems really cool and could really be a game changer in the kind of polymer striker fired industry for a real. I mean, that's a legitimate competitor to Glock, Smith and Wesson, and all the other top polymer striker fired pistols out there. Excuse me, might be the rum talking, but that are on the market. So
I mean, Glock really controls that market, and if they're I agree. From what I've read about that, actually, is I think it was maybe the gun. I forget the website, but the guy was doing a review, and he's like, "This could be, like you just said, pretty much a game changer, and it could be, a serious competitor to the Glock." And I think there's a statistic of like 40% of police officers carry a Glock, whether it's a 22, 23, a 17, a 19. They're mostly carrying Glocks, and obviously, the reputation precedes itself.
Yeah, I mean, it's so reliable.
Yeah,
you can't. It's very difficult to beat a Glock. I mean, you can have a preference of another gun, which is fine because there's a lot of other great weapons out there. I mean, the SIG is really, I like SIGs.
226, yeah.
Let me say this. The SIGs have a great reputation. I personally am not a big fan of the SIG. But, I'd give the 320 a shot. I don't have one of those, but I've considered it at times. But, the Glock is just rock solid as always. But I'm really curious to see what this CZ does the CZ P10 does to shake things up.
So your recommendation, if someone's buying a first gun, and they're thinking of getting their concealed weapons permit, what would you recommend?
Ooh, that's tough because that can be very personal. I mean,
I mean, I guess
the Glock 19 is the cheap answer, right?
Yeah.
That's like the most
the answer I was
purchased
looking
gun in
for,
the world. Yeah. And that would be my preference, and that's the bias that I have.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of considerations when you're looking. You know, I don't know if we've talked about this on another podcast. We probably have, but I think I gave an example earlier about a friend of mine who's like in super close quarters during the workday, and you know, if you can't have any bulge at all and you don't want any printing, you know, the Glock 19 might not be your best option. You might want to go with the 26 or even something smaller for work. Yeah. But if someone's looking for their first weapon, their first pistol, I mean, you can't really beat a Glock 19. There are other great weapons out there, though.
Sure. I think the price holds. I mean, if you're like, hey, listen, I bought this and I really don't like it at all, like you're going to get 80% back whatever you paid for the most part.
Yeah, so look at it. Let's say that you buy a weapon. Okay, let's say Glock 19, at the risk of being called a Glock boy, which I am. You know, what do you buy the weapon, you have it for 6 months or a year. You sell it for $100 less than what you bought it for. So you rented it for a year for $100.
Big deal, right? And you know what you don't want too. So if that's the case, yeah. I mean, my Glock 19 was the first gun I bought, and I still have it. I bought that in 2011, and I was like, I got my concealed weapons permit. Moved to Florida in 2010, got my concealed weapons permit, and I was like, oh, I gotta get a gun. Like, I have all these freedoms now in Florida. Cause compared to New York, where I'm originally from, I was like, oh, look at what I can do, and I get like buy this
I understand your addiction now.
Yeah, there it is. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I did go with the Glock 19. I still have the Glock 19, and I love it. And I probably put, I'm gonna say, 1,500 to 2,000 rounds through it, and which isn't really a lot after 5 years. I've never had a hiccup with it. Never had an issue with it ever. I think my dad had an issue shooting it once just because he was limp wristing it. Yeah. You know, but that's really the only thing I guess I've heard with Glocks is like if you limp wrist them, sometimes you'll have a failure to feed or a failure to eject. But yeah, Glock. I know we're on a Glock tangent right now, but Glock is, to me, I love it. It's the last gun I'd give up. Really, if I had to give up all my guns, that'd be the last one to go.
It's the apocalypse gun, right? It's the one that if you have to leave your house for the weekend and you know you might not come back, it's one you're going to grab. So. Anyway, but I mean, you are super addicted to guns anyway.
Yeah, I'm very addicted to guns. Yeah, I've owned so many, and like, you know, I buy them, and if I don't like them, I'll sell them, and I'll trade, or I have so many guns, and like just so many like, you know, parts of guns and stuff like that. It's you know, it's an addiction, but I love it, and you know, it's you know, a lot of the stuff I buy, it holds value very well. Yeah. So I don't really ever feel like I'm like, oh, like I just blew, you know, $300 at the bar. You know what I mean? So it's
no, 100%. I mean, I wasted money on a lot of things. I don't feel like I waste them on weapons because I at least get some residual value back.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, you recently got a SCAR, right?
Yeah, I did.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, my SCAR 17. I love this gun. I love it so much. I told Lane, I was like, before we started this podcast, I was like, I want to talk about and brag about my SCAR 17. It's a 308, 7.62 by 5.1 NATO round, and the recoil is just perfect. I mean, I was told beforehand, before I bought a SCAR, that like, you know, 308, I was looking to get a 308. Everyone says there's a lot of kick to it. 155 pounds now, and they're like, you know, that you're gonna feel a jolt when you shoot the 308. And with the SCAR, I feel like it's maybe 20 to 25% more of a kick than an AR-15, which is not that much. I mean, if you're, you know, it's
not much at all.
Incredibly accurate. I threw an ACOG on top, a 308 ACOG is on top of it. I have a upgraded 3-pound trigger, which is like, you know, really snobby because I'm not a sharp shooter by any means. You know, I'm just learning with this thing. But yeah, the SCAR feeds just it's perfect. It's got 2 settings. I've suppressed it, and it's like this thing is. The weight, the balance of it, the recoil management, everything about it is just, it's incredible. I do have a handle defense lower on it, which allows me to take PMags and allows me to pretty much put any kind of mag in there except the original SCAR mags, which is kind of ironic, I guess. But the lower that was in it initially is the only one that will take the SCAR mags, and you kind of have to only go with the SCAR mags, which are like $45, $50. They're really expensive, and they were pretty hard to find for a while. So, anyways, back to the handle lower, and I mean, I could put any mag in there, and you know, 25-round mags and stuff, and ridiculous drum mags, which are unnecessary, you know. But accuracy, but fun, of course, yeah. You know, just because they tell me I can't have it, that's why I want it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Accuracy on it is incredible. It probably took me about 20 shots because I'm not that good of a shot with a rifle to sight it in. But I mean, I'm gonna say it's probably a 1.5 MOA with my shooting with the trigger I have. at 100 yards, and I love it. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably, this kind of like goes up and down and changes all the time. It's probably my favorite gun I own right now. I was trying to get Lane to borrow it last week. I was like, listen, man, take it out. I want you to experience it. But I was afraid also, I was thinking, like, you know what? He'll end up buying this thing.
No. Yeah, I'm on like a buying anything hiatus right now. So
that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm bragging about the SCAR. A lot of guys use the SCAR in terms of, I know Special Forces use it. They have their own setup that's, I'm sure, a lot of the stuff I probably couldn't even get as a civilian, you know. But yeah, a lot of Special Forces uses it, and I really like it. I mean, it's an incredible weapon. It's extremely I mean, it's expensive. It is expensive, but you do get what you pay for with it. And yeah, I like it for a 308. I think if you're gonna get a SCAR, there's the SCAR 16, which is a 5.56 one, and the SCAR 17, which shoots a 308. Absolutely, spend the extra money and get the 308.
Get the 308.
Yeah,
'cause there's a lot of quality 5.56.
Yeah, exactly. And
rifles out there, and you don't have to spend that much money to get a pretty good one
exactly.
relative to
no, you're
what you pay
right.
for a SCAR. So
yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. You were talking about the recoil, and I was thinking this weekend. I took a student of mine out. He wanted to shoot his Vepr for the first time, his Russian Vepr. And for those of you who don't know, it's a semi-automatic shotgun, 12-gauge shotgun. Takes 12 round magazines. It's
That's
pretty.
nice.
It's pretty sweet. I have one, and I was shooting it, and I'm so used to shooting my AR-15 that when I was shooting the Vepr, I definitely noticed the recoil. So as soon as you said like 25% of the and then so I shot the shotgun, and then I picked up my rifle, my AR-15, and I started shooting, and it was a short barrel
legit
rifle.
22 or something.
It was like a short barrel rifle, and it was like I was like bah, 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 bah. It felt so good.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about the SCAR in 308, only increasing the kick by like 25%, that was definitely appealing for me, man. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to take that thing out sooner or later and shoot.
Maybe this weekend if you want, you could take it out this week. Are you gonna be around? Or are you leaving Sunday?
No. I got some students competing on Saturday.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got some super fight jiu-jitsu matches on Saturday, and then I go to Park City for the weekend. Gonna do some skiing. So
that'd be sweet. RMNU South is representing in Orlando.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Bunch of super fights.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Tough guys too.
Yeah, and girl.
Yes.
Yeah, Chelsea's doing this, and next Friday she has an MMA fight in Orlando too.
She did well on her first one.
Yeah, she's a killer. Not to make this an MMA podcast,
No,
but it is a self-defense podcast. And for those of you guys who are like training in like quote unquote real self-defense, you may want to pick up some MMA and jiu-jitsu because you learn skills there that years of real self-defense can't teach you that actually will save your life. Not just pretend to save your life.
Absolutely.
That's the rum talking again.
No, that's right. And that's the place to do it is RMNU South Tampa Jiu-Jitsu.
That's right.
Yeah, if you're in Tampa, you can check them out. Give me the plug real quick.
I appreciate that.
But
short barrel rifles.
Short barrel rifles. I do want to talk about that. I know I saw yours recently.
Yeah.
You just got the stamp, or you've had the stamp for a while on that one. Yeah.
I built it.
Oh,
I'm very proud. I built my first 2 rifles in the last year. And if you haven't built your rifle, first of all, if you've never like shot a rifle and you just want to get used to one, buy something under $1,000. Kind of figure out what you want, what you like, and figure out if it's something that you're like really committed to, because a lot of people I think buy ARs or whatever, and they buy it based on their budget. But some people spend a lot of money on them and then never shoot them. Like the gentleman I went out with last weekend, he'd had that Vepr for 2 years.
Oh, really?
It was the first time he shot it. He wanted me to shoot it first.
Because he's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
He was a little afraid of it. Yeah.
Jeez.
But so, anyway, that's an expensive gun. He can afford it. But, if you're looking at an AR, pick one up, one of the lower end ones.
I agree.
Because a lot of them are pretty good. And see if it's something you're really committed to shooting. And if you are and you get into it, eventually you're going to figure out what parts you want.
Right.
What parts are good.
Yep.
What setup you want for you. Don't go out and drop like $2,000 to $3,000 on a really expensive AR and expect it to be perfect because you're going to change stuff on it no matter what.
Sure, you want it to suit your needs. They call it I guess they call ARs the Barbie dolls for men kind of thing.
Absolutely.
You want to customize it to your own appeal, I guess you'd say.
Yep.
My first AR I bought bought it like a gun show. It was a Bushmaster Carbon 15, and I was like, I bought it and I was like afraid of it. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing with this thing. I knew nothing about guns at the time. It's probably 2 months after I bought my Glock, and I remember taking it out, and I had Wolf ammo, or Tool ammo, excuse me, and it didn't feed at all through it. And I was like, why isn't this feeding? I didn't understand, like, the gas port on it was so small, and it's like, it's a POS for sure. I mean, it definitely was a piece of shit.
But don't shoot that steel shit through your AR, man.
Yeah, it's not recommended.
No, I've seen it. Anthony, Anthony, his Tavor freaking blew up on some Tool ammo.
No way.
It like blew the magazine out. He's got like a burn mark on his wrist, and I was also training with
not
like
the black one, right? With the
I don't remember which one it was. I think he's got like a flat dark earth one too. We need to have him on one day. Yeah, he's a riot. Shit, yeah. He's addicted to like weapons on a whole nother level. But anyway, it blew out shooting, and it was the Tool. We're pretty sure it was the Tool ammo. Yeah, it blew his magazine out. He had some burn marks on his arm.
That's scary.
It was really scary. It took him a little while. Like the first time we shot rifle after that, like he was really fidgety. Yeah, really hesitant.
Absolutely.
Shooting his rifle. So I know a lot of people shoot a lot of rounds with the Tool ammo. I just finished some Tool ammo with my Glock, but I don't think I'm going to buy it again based on Anthony's experience. And based on the fact that, like, last time I did some firearms training, I had a Navy SEAL like freaking out that I was shooting that shit through my pistol.
Oh, really? Wow.
He's like, man, that will blow your gun up.
Really?
And then I was like, oh, well, of course I had like 500 rounds left, so I was going to finish it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But then couple that with the experience Anthony had, and I'm like, all right, well, because it really doesn't cost that much more. I know when you're on a tight budget, it makes a difference, but man, you don't have to spend a crazy amount on ammo, but get some good quality ammo. It doesn't have to be the most expensive. Just make sure it's a little more expensive than Tool and Wolf and all those steel case ammo, and get something with a little brass, Yeah. And do it right, because you don't want your weapon to blow up on you, man. I mean, that's
true.
You can seriously get hurt.
Of course.
Psychologically, it's kind of tough to get back on the horse after that.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Traumatic, yeah.
You got to be careful.
On the other hand, though.
ARs.
Well, yes, but I also
on the other hand,
I want to say something real quick. It's like, I also look at it as like this is, if your rifle can shoot Tool ammo, then, how great is your rifle? I said it as like,
no, it's true.
Not to be like an ammo snob of like, all right, I need to have the Hornady, it's got to be the special,
Yeah.
I look at it as like my Mark 18, it's a short barrel rifle, which I'll get into in a little bit. I feed it Tull, I feed it Brown Bear, I feed it Silver Bear, and I feed it really good, the M855 green tips.
Yeah.
And I've only had one issue with a Brown Bear, and it just didn't feed, and it was just short stroked, and I took care of it. It was stuck. But I look at it as like, if your gun's not feeding, on the other hand, something to think about is, if your gun's not feeding Tool ammo, well, maybe there's something wrong with the gun a little bit too. If the gas port's not open up enough, the spring too strong, so on. I don't know, but I mean, it's something to think of.
And the feeding is not what I'm concerned about, but I mean, I do get annoyed with people or with guns that are like, well, no, you need to be shooting this kind of ammo out of it. You need to, and maybe that's why I like Glock, because I feel like it eats anything I throw in it.
Exactly, yeah.
But I've had some experience with some other weapons where I'm like, oh man, this thing, like, it jammed on me 3 times today. And I'm like, well, somebody's like, well, maybe it's the ammo you're shooting. Maybe I'm like, I don't care what kind of ammo I'm shooting. Like, I need a gun that I need a gun that can shoot whatever the hell I feed it. Like, I don't want anything that's like super picky, super finicky. I mean, I don't mind those for fun,
right?
But not anything I'm going to carry.
Yeah, you want something
not
that's
anything in my bug out bag.
Yeah.
So
I agree. But you do make a good point about, like, if that happened to Anthony, then I'm like, that does make me a little hesitant. Because I have some Tool ammo. I probably have like 250 rounds of just like shit Tool ammo that like I'll take out and I'll just like blow through the AR as fast as I can to make sure it'll feed and it'll cycle and everything's good, But at the same time, like, obviously don't want bull carrier pieces going into my eyebrow. I don't want this whole to get hit with some shrapnel pretty much by blowing up. So it's something to think about. My recommendation is, if you're gonna buy ammo, buy good brass stuff. If you can afford it, and it's like, buy 1,000 rounds, good brass stuff. I'll give a shout out to Sportsman's Guide. Has the best deals of any place I've ever shopped if you become a member. Sportsman's Guide.
Is it online or?
Online, yeah. You can get solid brass ammo for 26, 27 cents a round.
Okay.
For
That's
1,000
great.
rounds.
You need to
And
send me a link there
Yeah, I
because
will.
I use
actually,
what is
I'll
it?
post the link.
Target Sports USA is pretty good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's great, man.
I'll post a link actually on the bottom of this video. There's a few places where you can go where they'll you can compare prices. You can compare what kind of ammo is being at that price. It's kind of like, it kind of looks like a stock market kind of chart type thing.
Yeah.
And it shows the prices of steel versus brass and so on. But Sportsman's Guide overall has, occasionally you'll go on there and you'll just find incredible deals where it's like, I'll buy up 2,000 rounds just because I feel like I have to, you know.
Right.
But the brass stuff is good, and if you're gonna go on the cheaper end of stuff, I would probably say Silver Bear, maybe Brown Bear. I did have a short stroke with Brown Bear in my Mark 18. But yeah, I do agree. Stay away from tall. You know, your rifle should be able to fire it, but I don't recommend dropping $200 or 1,000 rounds, because for another $50 you can get better ammo.
Right.
And that's kind of the point of this tangent, I guess.
Yeah. Let's circle back around to the AR build.
Oh yeah. So I do have
So-
go ahead.
Let me just say this.
Yeah.
If you haven't built your own AR, and you've kind of been in the game for a while, go ahead and build one. I think it's good to know your weapon inside and out that way. Plus, it's super. There are some finicky parts, right? Some parts are a little tough
Pins
to make
and
fit,
springs,
pins
yeah.
and springs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's almost like Legos. So it's like adult Legos. It's not that hard.
Right.
One thing I didn't mess with, like, to be honest, I didn't really mess with the upper that much.
Smart man.
You know, I don't want to mess around with the, you know,
The gas system. And
yeah,
the barrel,
yeah. None of that stuff. But the lower was super easy to build. It gave me some more familiarity with the weapon.
Sure.
And I'll tell you what, man, the 2 rifles that I've built have been flawless.
Awesome.
They've been incredible. I'm
Yeah.
so happy with them.
Yeah.
I'm so happy I did it.
Right.
You know, so I customized it all the way. I put my family crest on there.
Nice. I did see that. That looked really cool.
The whole
That was
thing.
really
So
cool.
anyway, if you haven't done it, do it.
Yeah. I mean,
Barrel
you can-
length. SBR barrel length.
Short barrel rifles. For everybody who's not familiar, short barrel rifle is anything that's under 16 inches. It's regulated and has a stock. It's regulated by the NFA, which is the National Firearms Act, and you need a tax stamp if it's allowed in your state, wherever you are. Anything under 16 inches, it has to. You have to get a tax stamp. You have to send your information to the ATF through a trust or through a law enforcement sign-off kind of thing. Yeah, it's less than 6 inches. So barrel length, I have a Mark 18. I said earlier. The barrel length on that is 10.3 inches. It's a Daniel Defense barrel. It's made by Daniel Defense. And what I was gonna say is, in my opinion, it's my second favorite rifle I have right now. The upper on it is just incredible. It was like I said, Daniel Defense barrel. I put a Geisley rail on there and 10.3 inches.
You said Geisley rail?
Geisley rail, yeah. It
I haven't
fires.
played with the rails.
Yeah, I have to show you one of these days. It fires flawlessly, and it's so, like, you know, it's obviously made for CQB, close quarters combat, and like you know, I just love the way it like feels. And I will say this about the barrel, like I wouldn't go any shorter than that. They say 10.3 inches is pretty much as short as you go, and even then you're borderline with some kind of ammo, some certain types of ammo. You know, you're not going to get a fragmentation when you're, you know, hitting flesh. Fragmentation meaning the bullet's going to kind of spin and you know, move around the body. That's, I guess, from what I understand, the research I've done, which is not really too extensive, but that's kind of where you get like fatal wound shots, is where you're when the bullet moves around the body and spins and so on. So getting back to it, yes, 10.3 inches. I love it. The gas port on it, it's a little bit larger than most 16-inch barrels. That's so it can cycle properly. It's a smooth rifle. It's very loud. All short barrel rifles are extremely loud. But if you have a trust, I mean, you know, there's no reason why you shouldn't, you know, send your paperwork in and have one SBR. You know, I look at it as like this. It's like, even I could throw a 22 upper on that and have my girlfriend shoot 22s with a short barrel rifle, and it's like, you know, she like loves it. It's like I don't say it's like a toy gun, because no guns are toys, you know, but it's like very comfortable for her to shoot, as opposed to like, you know, 5.56 round or anything more than that. So she can shoot that, and she's like, she feels comfortable with it. And you know, there's so many options and so many different configurations you can do with the AR. Yeah, I think that
and the SBR is good to throw in your backpack, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Just remove the lower from the upper, toss it in your backpack, and you can take it places with you too. I have the one I just built is 10.5 inches,
Right.
which is good. You know, it allows me to shoot suppressed. But I also have a AR pistol that's like 7 inches,
Right.
which is like a little small.
Sure.
I mean,
Do you consider it a toy, or do you consider it like, is it kind of one of those things of like,
I was pretty novice when I bought it, you know, or when I had it built. But I like it because, well, if I had to do it again, I would have gone 10.5 inches so I could shoot it suppressed.
Right, yeah.
You know, but I tell you what, I did a rifle and open field combat course.
Cool.
And one of my other weapons, I'm not going to name the brand because it's a really good brand, and I've since sent that rifle into that company to have them like fix it.
I was talking about it earlier, I think.
So, and their customer service was awesome. They took it. There was some issues with the ejection port. They fixed it. I'll say this: I haven't shot it yet, but I'm optimistic that it's working properly. And they sent me a magazine, fixed it for free, shipped it back for free. So I don't want to bash them because they're great. They're a great rifle company. But anyway, that failed on me, and it was failing on me in every course I had done with it.
Wow, that's scary.
And I thought like it was magazines. I thought, because I was pretty green when I first bought that rifle. So I was thinking it was me. I was like, God, am I this bad with this weapon? Like, what is going on? It keeps jamming. It was so embarrassing.
Sure.
You know, I'm already new.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, it's like jamming like crazy.
Right.
So anyway, but when I pulled this little pistol out with a 7.5 inch barrel, it worked awesome.
That's awesome.
The whole day.
Yeah.
You know, so it wasn't. I know you lose a lot of accuracy with the 7.5 inch barrel.
It's not so much accuracy, actually. It's more the speed of the bullet. From what I understand, velocity. The velocity is like, I would say it's halved. It's not halved, but it's like you lose 40% of your velocity, which slows down a lot. But the accuracy, and I don't want to get that confused with the velocity. It's like the accuracy. You actually don't lose any accuracy. Those barrels are, solid barrels. You'll have accuracy at 100 yards, the same thing you'll have out of a 20-inch barrel. Accuracy won't change. Just make it clear to anybody who's listening. But accuracy won't change with the barrel length, but the velocity does change significantly. Between a 20-inch barrel and a 7.5-inch barrel, you're looking at, I think 2,100 feet per second with a 7.5-inch barrel, compared to with a 20-inch barrel, you're looking at maybe 31, 32.
What about a 10.5?
10.5, you're at the 2,500 feet per second range with the 10.5. And they call that the 2,500 range is where the bullet can start to tumble once you start hitting flesh. So that's why I say 10.5, 10.3 is as low as you really want to go. Okay. That's with the 5.56. Now, I know Lane's got a 300 blackout, and that sweet spot is 8-inch barrel. If you have an 8-inch barrel, 9-inch barrel, you are at like the sweet spot of the 300 blackout, which is, to me, I shot your 300 blackout suppressed, and I immediately went home, bought a lower, and I set the SBR, I set the paperwork in because I was like, that is so sick.
Yeah, dude, the 300 blackout suppressed is the way to go.
Sweet.
You know what's funny is I had jamming issues with that weapon too.
Oh, really?
And I took it to Shooter's World here in Tampa, and they told me the gunsmith who built it put the fucking buffer tube in backwards.
No
so I'm
way.
hoping that fixed the problem. I haven't shot it since. I need to take it out. But no. Let me. Okay, so it wasn't just like a normal buffer tube, right? This is, I wish I could think of the company that I have, but it's one of those like really kind of creative little stocks, like really super short stocks that you pull out.
It's Troy, isn't it? Troy?
No, it's not Troy. It's another company, but similar to kind of that Troy stock.
Yeah. The PDW stock.
Yeah, so it's a little different. You don't have the retainer. Was it a retainer pin?
Right.
So like when you kind of take it apart, it's a little hard to get the pins out and stuff because the spring is gonna shoot out. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not your standard like ARs, but either way, they should have known better, man. They put it in backwards.
Amateur hour, huh?
Yeah, amateur hour, and of course, maybe I'm amateur hour for like not noticing. No, I mean, but I'm not familiar with that, with that stock and the way it's supposed to go in. So anyway, I'm hoping that fixed my problem because I had some issues feeding with that thing. But again, I haven't shot it, so since it's been apparently fixed, so I need to get out and put some rounds through that and see how it goes. So maybe we'll report on that on a later podcast.
Sure. And shout out to Shooters World. The
They're
alcohol
great,
speaking.
man.
They're great. They really. I mean, the gunsmiths there. They know their stuff. Really friendly. I really don't like to buy stuff from gun stores because I feel like I can get it cheaper online. But if I need any like help or have any questions or I do end up getting something, it always is from Shooters World in Tampa, Florida. And
again, man, if you don't buy from them at all, it might not be there.
Yeah, it's true.
They have pretty decent prices.
They do. They have fair prices.
Yeah, it's very fair.
I bought my suppressor there actually. I mean, I've spent probably a few $1,000.
Yeah, I have too. I bought a couple suppressors, some pistols,
and
I go the cheap way sometimes too.
Yeah, you got to do it sometimes. The gunsmith built my Mark 18 upper, which is 10.3 inches. He put that together. I just bought all the pieces, and I have built an upper, and it's like Lane was saying, stay away from the upper. Don't ever try to build the upper. Just buy it completed or buy the parts you want and bring it to a proper gunsmith. I tried putting together an upper before, and I just don't have the right pieces of vise, and I was trying to you need to have a certain amount of torque, and I was I brought the gun to the range, and I was thinking, I was shooting, and I'm thinking, I feel like this thing's going to fall apart in front of me,
Right.
So, if you're going to build an AR, build a lower, put the pieces you want on there, all the fancy, your own personal customization, and the upper just buy it completed.
Yeah. And I'm a lefty, so I've got to, specialize my upper to some degree, no matter what, So I'm always tweaking something on mine. Sometimes I have a gunsmith do it if I don't have time.
Sure.
But that's really part of what inspired me to build this, because I can't, if I buy something, I've got to buy extra parts anyway. So I might as well, build it from scratch and go from there. So
plus, you probably feel like you know your rifle a lot better now.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I built a rifle. I built a Glock for the same reason. I built a Zev.
Oh, nice.
Glock
Yeah. Okay.
With a lone wolf,
I've seen that one.
lower
Yeah. That thing's
deal.
Sweet.
It's I've shot it and I haven't had any issues with it, which I'm kind of surprised I haven't had any issues with it. But it's got a Zev trigger. It's got the Zev upper.
Yeah.
And it's got the lone wolf lower, and so far it's worked pretty well. With that said, I haven't shot it enough to I kind of stick mostly to the guns that I carry, I shoot mostly the guns that I carry, which is a Glock 19 or a Glock 17, just because, not to sound redundant here, because that's the weapon I carry. So I want to get extremely familiar with it, the feel and everything else. And then, when I'm comfortable with where I'm at with it, which may never happen because I'm kind of a perfectionist, then I'll shoot some play guns, play pistols and stuff like that. But
do you have a trigger job on your Glock that you carry?
Yeah, I do. I Ghost Rocket, kind of all the way, lightens the trigger pull.
Do you recommend that, or do you think that it's you think it's worth carrying something with a trigger job? Or you think it's keep it stock?
Well, you mean recommend the Ghost Rocket?
No, I don't think
so. Like a full. Here's my opinion. I think you need to stay away from a lot of the competition trigger jobs, because it's great for competition, but they are prone to failure. So I stick with the stock Glock Triver. Yes, I said that. Again, that's the rum talking. But I like the Ghost Rocket connector to just lighten the trigger pull a little bit. And I've had zero issues with my Ghost Rocket. So I think it's good to go, from that 5.5 pound trigger pull to like a 4, 3.5 on the Glock.
Nice, it's very nice.
It depends, again, it's if you're a new shooter, quite frankly, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just buy something stock, shoot it a lot, do some training, figure out what you like, and then adapt the gun from there. But I wouldn't mess too much with, the factory parts unless it's absolutely necessary.
Sure.
Don't buy, there's a lot of sweet competition triggers in the market that feel really good, and I have them in some weapons, but they're not the weapons that I carry.
Right.
Right. So, because at this, because they are prone to failures in, in some ways. So you got to be really careful when it comes to that. Stock is built for war.
Right.
It's built for duty. It's built for war. So stick to the stock when you can. But the Ghost Rocket, man, I've never heard anybody say that that's a bad idea to lighten the trigger a little bit with that thing.
Cool. Yeah, and I don't have a ton of self-defense, I guess, formal training. But from what I understand and what a lot of people say is like, learn your gun as much as you can. Don't worry about buying triggers. Buy 2,000 rounds instead, and learn how to shoot the thing, learn how to take it apart, learn how to clean it, learn the gun as if it's clothes you're gonna wear the rest of your life.
Yeah,
kind of,
that's a mistake that I made. I probably spent too much money on like weapons early, and not enough on just ammo and training and all that stuff. Which is it's easy to do because it's fun.
It's fun. Yeah, it's so much fun.
It's fun. It's addicting. You get like this little rush.
Absolutely. New part comes in, or you're putting something together.
Yeah, you're so excited.
Yeah, it is.
We started this though with the Glock build, and again, it was like the AR, where it just made me know the weapon a little more intimately.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I think that's a worthwhile project, not a cheap project,
right.
But it's worthwhile when you have the time, when you have the inclination. But again, if you're new to firearms and you just want a weapon, just buy a stock weapon. I say stock. You want to get night sights if you buy a Glock.
Sure, yeah.
But outside of that, and I would say this, just buy the simple 3-dot white night sights until you like really, 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 really know what you want.
Right.
Because I've went through a lot of sights too.
Oh, really?
Over the last few years.
Like Trigicon, like the Tritium ones and
all
stuff like that?
Really? That's what I'm back to.
The white ones.
3-dot white.
3-dot white?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think that's what I have on my Glock right now.
Yeah. So anyway, for a lot of reasons, I'm back to that.
Yeah. Can't be Glock. I know we said it earlier, and
we're overdoing the Glock tonight.
Yeah, I know we really are. But
that's solid. Because we've overdone the St Pete rum, the old St Pete rum.
It's so good. The aftertaste on this is like
delicious, man.
It is really good.
And they're not even a sponsor.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
They should be. They should be.
They should
some money our way.
Yeah, we're just showing that we have 5 listeners.
Yeah, we got 5 listeners, and people want to hear it, and they may go buy a bottle.
They might go buy a bottle. It's good. All right. Anything else, man?
That's it. I think we can.
All right. Cool.
Later, guys. Subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Ask a question. I'm also going to put Sportsman's Guide, and I have a few coupon codes I'll put below in the comment section so you can check it out and use it. They're only for a limited time, so whenever you listen to this, go check if they're still available. You can save yourself some money on ammo. All right. Take it easy. Later.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you have any comments or questions, ask below. And don't forget to check out our sponsors.